Hi everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca Stu and the crew. I'm Rebecca. Today we have a really fun holiday home decor DIY project for you guys. So let's go over the supplies first. For the very first project, we are going to need to use one of these DIY 3D craft kits. It's the Nativity scene. We're also going to use a framed shaped house. It's a chalkboard, either a piece of chalk, a chalk writer, a chalk marker, stickers, or vinyl. You'll need some black paint. We're also going to need some white paint, chalk paint or not, doesn't really matter. We'll need some paint brushes. We're also going to either use antiquing wax or you could use the Rust-Oleum wood stain that Dollar Tree has been carrying lately. We'll also need a small piece of a sponge and some rubber gloves, which are optional. We'll need some raffia, straw, or Spanish moss, either some sandpaper or an emery board. We'll need scissors and some hot glue. So let's get crafty. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to just cut down one of these large bath sponges from the Dollar Tree. These are really nice because you get a lot of pieces out of it. If you just use a small portion, you can just toss it and not worry about having to clean it for each project, and you can get a lot of uses out of it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use this Rust-Oleum gel stain. This is called Golden Pecan, which is the color that I'm going to use for the frame here. You just want to brush on the gel around the edges, the front, and then the inside edge. You don't have to do the back. You're probably not going to see it. In the back of it's mostly that particle board from the back of the chalkboard. Anyways, you really wouldn't want to paint too much of that. It gets a little bit soggy if you put too much paint or anything on it. Now, you don't have to use the gel stain. You could use some of the stain markers that Dollar Tree carries. It's to fix like scratches in the furniture. I've used those before to stain small pieces of wood. You could also use the antiquing wax that you can find at most craft stores and Walmart, or you could even just use paint or leave it the way it is. You don't have to stain it at all. I just wanted to have mine stained, and so that's what we are doing here. So once we have the chalkboard house all stained, I'm going to use a little bit of a darker color for the stable. I wanted it to be a little darker than the frame because I wanted it to stand out, but I don't want it so dark that it blends into the background with that chalkboard there. So keep in mind when you're painting or coloring yours that you do want it to stand out, but you don't want it to get lost in the background when you're choosing your colors. So once we have that stained, we'll set that aside to let it dry. And then for the wood shapes, which are Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus in the manger, we're going to paint those with the white chalk paint so they really pop off of the background. Now, when you're painting these, you want to be mindful of which direction or where you're going to want each person to be so that you paint the correct side. So just be mindful that both of them are, the way you paint them, that they're both going to be sitting facing the manger once you glue them on. So this nativity set's really cute. It comes with a stand. It also has the 3 wise men. I didn't use the stand. I just saved the wood piece. Maybe I can use it in another project. But the wise men were a little bit too wide, so they don't all fit in the house shape. So I'm going to use those in a different project as well. So we're just going to use a few of the pieces out of this 3D set. So now I'm taking a little bit of white chalk paint and dry brushing it onto the stables just to give it a little bit more of a weathered look. And then we'll use some sandpaper or an emery board. And you're just going to rough up the wood piece a little bit just to help give it like a weathered, aged look. You don't want it to look brand new. So I'm just going to go ahead and sand around the edges and just kind of rough up the wood a little bit and get a little bit of the stain off so that it looks like it had weathered over time. So emery boards make really nice things when you need to do crafts and you need like sandpaper. They're really nice because you can kind of control where you're going a little bit easier. So now again, you can use a piece of chalk, a chalk writer, some stickers you can find at the Dollar Tree. I actually cut out these words on my vinyl cutter, so I'm going to just put those stickers at the very top. But you can just write on it. You don't have to have a vinyl cutter to do this. So then we're going to glue our people on. And we're just attaching those with hot glue. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze to fit the manger, but it will fit. They just barely fit. And then we'll take some of the straw and glue it onto the bottom. So some of the pieces were a little bit too long, so I just went in after I glued it down, and I would cut the longer pieces down so it wasn't sticking up in front of the background there. I didn't want it to cover up what was back there. So once you have your straw on, you're going to figure out where the glue needs to be for the stable here. So you just really need glue along the very bottom and then the two top edges where the roof come down. Those are the only pieces that touch the frame. And then if you want to add some more straw to the front of this, you could. I added a little bit more to the corners. But I just love how it gives this really cool 3D effect, and it will make a nice addition to my Christmas decor. So this is the first one all finished. And now we'll go over the supplies for our second project. So again, we're going to need some of the framed houses. We'll need 3 of them. Another DIY craft kit. This has like a house and some trees. We'll use the Wise Men piece from the Nativity set that we didn't use earlier. We'll use 2 of these wooden tree stickers, and we'll need a Dollar Tree scoring or dotting tool, a pencil, some various paints for whatever color you choose to paint yours. You'll need some scissors and some hot glue. And of course, we'll need some paintbrushes. And I'm going to use this foam beads for snow, which is optional. You'll need either some chalk writer again, or some vinyl stickers. So let's get crafty. So first we will make the gnomes. So these are the Wise Men that came out of the Nativity set, and we didn't use them. I didn't want to throw the piece away, so I thought maybe I could make something else out of it. And the tall, thin part at the top just made me think of a gnome. So that's what I'm going to make these into. So we're just going to draw at the bottom of the sleeve there across to make the top of that Wise Man look like a hat. We'll draw the nose and then a little bit of like a beard halfway down. And then kind of like the letter M, this is going to create the shoes. And then you'll want to create the soles of the shoes as well in the front. So most gnomes look like they're wearing almost like a gown type thing, so we don't need to worry too much about details for the outfit. Then the very top, where it was like the Wise Man's crown, we'll make that the pom-pom to the top of the hat. And then the Wise Man's face will become the part of the hat that is bent over. So I hope you guys can see that. So it's very easy to draw in. It's not a lot of detail. Anybody can do this. Don't be intimidated by needing to draw. So this is what it looks like. And now we're going to cut off the pieces that attach the Wise Men together. So these are their sleeves and the gifts that they're holding. So I'm just going to take a craft knife and we're going to kind of work our way through the wood. Now the wood's really thin and it will split if you just cut through it with scissors. So you want to score it really well with the craft knife first, and then very slowly work your way through it with the scissors. So as you can see, I'm working really slow. I'm not going fast. I don't want the wood to split, but eventually you'll get through it enough that you can kind of wiggle it back and forth and it will just pop off. So you don't cut all the way through the piece. I get almost to the end and then I was able to pop it off. And then you can cut off any little excess pieces that remain. So once you have the gift removed, you can take your scissors. If you've worked through it, the sleeve part with your craft knife, then you'll just take your scissors and kind of bend it backwards and it will pop right off, especially if you score through it pretty well. So you'll continue that process for each one of the Wise Men. You just want to cut off the sleeve and then the part that was their hand holding a gift. And now they look more like gnomes without the extra pieces on there. And now we're just going to paint them. So for the first gnome, I chose some really dark red for the hat. And then the one next to him, I'm going to use the same color for his outfit. And then we'll use a dark Christmas green for the one with the red hat's outfit. And then we'll use the same color green for the hat for the one next to him. And now for the third one, I chose a light brown called khaki. That's for the hat. And then I used a little bit different color green. It's a softer, lighter green called sage. And I used that for his outfit. And then we'll paint the brim of the hat and the beards white. You can do gray, brown, it's really up to you. We'll do the pom-poms on the hat. The wise man in the middle didn't have a crown on, so we just added a little pom-pom to the hat. And then for the shoes, I painted all three of them, just like a different color brown. Each one got just a tad bit darker as I went down the line. And then I used the same color for the soles of the shoes. I just used, I think, black. Yes, I just outline the shoes with black, and then I do the bottom of their soles black. We're also going to take that black paint and then trace out the edges and around the beard just to help the details stand out a little bit better. You could use a Sharpie marker for this part, or you could even use a paint marker. You can add some details to the hat, add like the little folds with some black paint. And then we'll take the end of a paintbrush, and I dipped it in some peach colored paint to make the noses, and I just kind of colored in a little oval shape, and it was easier to do it with the end of a paintbrush, not the bristles. And then I'll do two little dots on the outfit for their hands. Then we'll finish painting the brim of the hat. We'll make some little diagonal lines for the arms. And then add a little bit of gray for the beard. I'm using the dotting tool. I traced around the noses, and then decorate their outfits if you like. I'm using the dotting tool just to add some little polka dots. For this one, I did a little holly on his hat. And then some little flowers on this one. You don't have to do this part, it's just optional. So here's what they look like all done. I just love how they turned out. I think they look really cute. So now the other 3D craft kit that we purchased had these really cool trees. I love these so much. You got these 3 pine trees, and 2 of them, one, they're different. There's 2 that are the same, one that's different. So I chose different colors of paint for them. So the 2 that were the same, I used the darker green paint, and the other one that was a little bit different, I used the lighter green. So you'll do brown for the tree trunks, and then the very bottom we used white to make it look like snow. And then again, just with a dry brush, like hardly any paint at all, you just want to dip it in the white paint and then very lightly dab on the trees, and it'll give it this snowy effect. We'll do the same for the Christmas tree stickers. So that DIY kit came with one of these stickers. So I did use some of the wood stickers Dollar Tree has out. They're exactly the same. I didn't want to use the glitter tree that it came with, so we just used the natural wood stickers. And then the 3D kit also came with this house. I wanted to make it look like a gnome house. So we paint the house just kind of some neutral colors. For the roof, of course, we wanted that to be white to look like it was covered in snow. We'll add a little bit of snowy detail to the chimney. And then I was trying to think to myself, how can I make this look more like a house for a gnome? So a lot of times the houses that you see in those little glass pieces you could buy, they have like the stonework around the door, maybe some broken away pieces where you have stonework around the edges of the house. So I just drew some different like rectangles that were not all the same shape, so it would look like stone. And I drew that around the door. I added window sills kind of to the front of the windows, and then I added a little bit of greenery under the windows so that it looked like the house was decorated for Christmas. And you fill in the little stonework with some light gray paint. So I did some more stonework around the edges, so it looked like some of the like stucco was kind of broken off or broken away. the round window at the top, I just used some green to make it look like it had a wreath. And you can see I'm adding the little bows and greenery under the windows. I added some shutters to each side of the window. It's just a rectangle. And here's what the house looks like all finished. And now we can start putting this all together. So I did want the bottom of the houses to look like there was snow just because of where the trees were going to go. And so the very bottom, you'll line up your houses in the order you're going to glue them together. And you'll want to paint that bottom inside edge white and then the very front white at the bottom. And just glue them together. If you have clamps, you can clamp them together to help hold them for a minute while they dry. And then I used some vinyl to type out, there's Gnome Place Like Gnome for the holidays. So I put those at the top of each one of the houses. Again, you could use chalk and you could just write it. You don't have to have a vinyl cutter. And then we needed to add some snow to the background. So we're taking the dotting tool and just dipping it in white and adding some snowflakes. Just put them wherever you feel snow would be. You don't want them too close together. I usually make my dots look like a 5, like a piece of dice with the 5. You got your 4 corners and then the little dot in the middle. And I try to use that kind of pattern all the way through when I'm adding dots to something. So now we'll just glue those trees we painted earlier onto the front and the center. Our house will go on the very far right. We'll add some of those Christmas tree stickers to the inside and the outside edge there. And our gnomes to the very front. And our last Christmas tree sticker. So you could end it here if you like, but I decided to go ahead and paint in the door and the windows with some red and yellow paint just to make it look like it was closed up a little bit better. And then this part is completely optional. So I use the styrofoam beads, which is a horrible mess, but they're so cute when they're done. But I wanted to make it look like we had snow at the bottom of the ground there where the gnomes are standing and the trees and whatnot. So I added that. I put a tray underneath of it. It helped a little bit, but they still kind of fly everywhere with the static. But you just want to add a little bit at a time. So I did all along the bottom, and then I ended up adding some more hot glue at the top to make it look like we had snow across the top of the roof. And this is what it looks like all done. I love how this one turned out so very much. And this one, of course, is my favorite. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos today. I post Dollar Tree craft videos every single Thursday. So I hope you guys will check some of those out. Here are some of the things that we've already made this fall season. And of course, every Friday I post what is new at the Dollar Tree for the week. I try to take pictures from several different Dollar Trees to show you guys what's out there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. Have a great day, everyone.